Hello and welcome to Landscape Elevation. I'm Charlene Gray. This video begins one part of a 6-part video series about why landscape design makes a great side hustle. In each of the videos, I'll share one reason why starting a landscape design side hustle could be a worthwhile consideration for you to make extra cash. So I'll jump right in with the first reason, and it is landscape design is a low-cost startup. Starting out as a landscape designer requires very little upfront cost, and here's why. Actually, first I'm going to make some assumptions. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you already have access to these 4 things. 1, an email account. 2, a smartphone. 3, tablet or personal computer. And 4, transportation. So why does a landscape designer need these things? Well, an email account makes communicating with your clients on your time super easy. Plus, everything that gets said in writing. Next, a smartphone is super helpful because it has a camera, a calculator, it makes and takes phone calls. It also has apps that are super helpful for landscape designers, such as there are some apps for plant identification, and there are usually free versions with the optional paid upgrades. But if you don't have a smartphone, if you have a flip phone or a landline, totally fine. You can still make and take phone calls, but whenever you're on site, you will want to bring a camera and a calculator with you every time. Okay, so an email account, a smartphone. I'm also assuming that you have a tablet or a personal computer. And these are for big screen stuff. So big screen access to things like your email, word processing and spreadsheets. These can help you keep track with your invoicing and your business finances, among other things. You can also do kind of bigger research on plants, site analysis stuff, and maybe even use Google Earth if you choose to use Google Earth. Basically all of the things you may prefer to do on a bigger screen than your smartphone has. And last, I'm assuming you have access to transportation. So as a landscape designer creating custom designs for clients' properties, you are going to want to get yourself from your home to the location of the sites where you're creating the landscape designs. So transportation is kind of a big one. All right, so you already have these things. If you already have these things and you use all of these things in your personal life, if you start a side hustle, you can now put them to work making money for you in your side hustle. So if you don't already have these things that you use in your personal life, your side hustle startup costs definitely increase beyond what I'll outline going forward. So moving on to the meat of this video. To practice landscape design, here are the bare necessity things I think you'll need and about what they cost. So, some very basic site measuring and hand drafting supplies. I would say around $200 will get you a decent startup supply. I'll post a couple separate videos that go into detail about site measuring and hand drafting supplies, but here's the very basic list. A couple of tape measures, one that's about 100 feet long, and one that's about 20 or 25 feet long. Beyond that, a clipboard, an architect scale rule, a roll of 12-inch trace paper, drafting pencils, colored pencils, a few markers are great. Colors to focus on would be greens, grays, maybe pink, purple, orange, yellow, blue, maybe a red. Erasers, 8 to 10-inch drafting triangles, a 24-inch T-square is great to have, and so is decent lighting. Don't get me wrong, you can go fancy and definitely spend more than $200, especially if you're the type who loves office supply stores like me, but it is totally doable to spend just enough to get you going until you actually get some money coming in. So, the very last thing you'll need is a flat drawing surface to work on. And this could be your kitchen table, it could be a card table, it could be a 2 foot by 3 foot slab of plywood, whatever it is, it needs to be big enough, and this will depend on the size of the paper you use. I suggest starting with either 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17. It will also need to be smooth, ish, and sturdy-ish. Can you use your floor as a drawing surface? Maybe. I guess that depends on what kind of flooring you have. But just know that it can be super frustrating trying to work on a surface that's either not big enough or smooth enough or sturdy enough. So that's really it. The hand drafting supplies, the 2 site supplies, just tape measures, and your flat drawing surface. So I think you can get away with getting all that stuff for about $200. So startup costs, notice I didn't say that you need to pay for advertising, and that was intentional. In my opinion, you can skip paid advertising when you start up, but also, in my opinion, forever. And I have a lot more to say on that topic, but I'll boil it down for you with these 2 reasons. Number 1, you will gain your best clients through word of mouth. Period. Number 2, you are just starting out. You don't need the masses pouring in to take advantage of your cheap landscape design services. And I say cheap because chances are good that you could be undervaluing yourself and not charging enough for your services. So you don't need to broadcast that. More to say on that, but I'll stop. So to save your sanity and to preserve your integrity, I would suggest just focusing on doing the best work you can for one client, and start out with one client. And then you'll learn so much from that process that you'll be able to apply as you take on new clients. And anyway, so advertising, I wouldn't go there. But anyway, so there you have it. I've just shared with you what I consider all you need to start your landscape design side hustle. If you already have the basics, the email, the smartphone, tablet or computer, and transportation, investing $200 will get you enough site measuring and drafting supplies to start designing on paper for paying clients and start bringing in some extra income. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you for part 2 of this 6 video series. Bye for now.